G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but we have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. So first off, let's welcome Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
BP.
103 kilometres an hour.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Well, I'm going there because I was threatened that if I didn't mention it, that this specific listener wouldn't listen anymore.
Yeah, well,
but I told him, well, we're all over it. We're well and truly advanced. So anyway, 103 kilometres an hour beyond Dunkerberg.
We'll come back to it, BP.
All right, we will.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, okay. Yep, no, that's cool. Let's get the other guy in.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Gentlemen,
G'day.
pleasure to be joining you for another week, and what a week it has been.
What's going on?
The Barkarati Express has been upgraded. Not the Barkarati Express, rather. The Barkarati barge is going to have to be upgraded, ready for the VX1 Nationals, which will be at the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron in... 2023, January 2023, and the campaign has begun.
Oh, love it. Love it.
There was a few rumours earlier in the week that a new boat is coming to SA, and I can confirm that that is true. There is a new boat coming to SA. That will be sailed by my good self and a secret partner.
Secret partner.
Oh, secret partner.
That's right. Secret. We're going to top secret. But I've got to tell you, gents, you know what clinched the deal? There was a bit of back and forth on the price and all that sort of stuff. A couple of Barkarati shirts.
You're all nice. Which ones?
Does that mean we own the boat?
The Krakens.
Oh, Krakens.
So, yeah.
A couple of Kraken.
Yep. So,
giving away gold,
clinched
mate.
the deal, got it across the line.
Fantastic.
So I think there's a new front runner in the best off the beach class, of which the survey will be continuing on.
I'm hoping that Hot Time with Bicey will bring this topic back up, or because I do want to discuss that a little bit more. But we've got a pretty cool guest I want to bring in. So can we adjourn that to a later point?
We shall.
Yeah.
There's one more point I just want to bring up before.
Is it the fact that you and BP are all dressed up? What's going on?
Well, did you get the cue?
No. Didn't you get the memo?
Seriously.
How important tonight is.
This morning.
I got my fiberglassing shirt on.
This is how the world of yachting happens. Nick George, the owner of another Hurligan, owner of the winery Canala, owner of the brand label George's, family wine growers. I attended a photo shoot this morning, and I was referred to as the talent. It's a loose term, let me tell you. It's definitely a loose term.
Did you sort of allude to what you were talented at?
Well, to tell you the truth, Jet, I was the other talent in the shoot, some Instagram influencers. One of which has just recently competed on SAS Australia. Second overall, as a matter of fact, she came. So it was quite an experience, but I was feeling a bit chuffed about it all. And I've been wearing my shirt ever since.
Wow.
Because she did touch it a few times.
I don't know who came second. I don't know who came first. I've never seen the show, but I'm sure it was very exciting.
Yeah, anyway, bit of fun.
Love it.
On a Sunday morning.
Good on you.
All right, let's go.
Must be cool to be a celebrity. All right, speaking of celebrities, our guest. First off, nice eye roll there. Our guest is a friend of ours. We're very happy to have her on the show. She's done a couple of Volvo Ocean races, about a dozen Hobarts, including putting together an all-female crewed boat and nearly taken the whole thing out, coming second overall, I reckon, in 2018. Mum 30s, I think second at the world. Fastnet, TP52s, match racing. I think got third at the World Match Racing Champ. So pretty talented sailmaker, and also now has she's got a little business called Nauti Bags and started another business, 27 South Ocean Training, so saving people's lives as well. So basically our guest is sitting there in a Superwoman cape with her underwear on the outside and ready to go. So welcome to the show, Stacey Jackson.
Thanks, guys. Well, I got the dress memo, so I've got the cape on and you know, Jordan, if you want to peel out and put the collared shirt on, you're most welcome.
I can guarantee you the exact collar shirt he'll put on as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, State, just before we do start, that little eye roll that you did Abby Ayler teach you how to do that?
Yeah, actually, we practiced that for many hours on watch together. Most modest woman competition.
Yeah, Abby, she's a master of it. Like we used to work in the office with her, and she'd just, you know, we think we're funny as buggery and laughing away, and then she'd just give us this look, and you're like, oh, no.
But that's better. That's better than her being your pitman, and you get a little bit too confident on the bow, and you turn around and yell something to her, and she gives you a look. And you yell at her again.
It is a strong look.
Can you please open the tagline?
Well, I tell you what, when we do go full-time video with this show, Abby is the first guest because that is something you need to see.
Yeah, it's true.
The eye roll.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like every single person in the world that I've ever spoken to is scared of Abby.
Well,
She hides it with that British accent, though.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. She's definitely one of my idols, and I was stoked that I got to sail around the world with her.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
eye roll aside, she's one of the best.
So when you started out sailing, did you think, Stace, that, you know, you'd be doing laps around the world and all the stuff that you're doing?
Look, I've always been a bit of a dreamer, so I followed, you know, the Whitbread and then eventually the Volvo, and I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to grow up and I'm going to sail around the world. And pretty sure my old man laughed at me because, you know, it just didn't seem like that was even going to be, you know, an option. So, no, to be honest, I wanted to, and I told everyone I would, but whether I really believed it or not, I'm not sure. So, you know, to do it once, I was pretty stoked, and then, you know, to do it again, I don't know if I'm happy or whether that's shame on me for doing it the second time. But it's, you know, as you say, and Vicey knows, it gets in your blood, right? And you just have to keep going back to it.
I think you believed in it. I remember a young Stacey Jackson rocking up at the floor at Telefonica, and there she was toiling away. And to see you go off and do the laps isn't just a testament to that. So you were definitely on your way.
I forget about that. The night shift with Telefonica and the sail loft, that was good fun. I'm actually going back to the sail loft in December for the sail GP. I'm going to do a bit of sail making for the guys there. So
Cool.
oh, cool.
Fantastic. We'll have to get onto that. So, but before we do, are you a sailing family? Like, did you get a choice or?
Yeah, sort of. Like my old man is like the old man of the sea. You know, he's for 50 years worked on ships as a marine engineer. So he always loved the water and sailing. And we got a cruising boat when I was a kid, and my brother and I took lessons. I loved it. My brother hated it. And it sort of, he was good at it, but just didn't like it. I was hopeless at it and loved it.
Wow.
So, you know, and I stuck at it and bit of a daddy's girl. So whatever he did, I did, followed him around. And yeah, I, you know, lucky enough, my old man used to sail when he sailed to sea on ships, used to work with Roger Hickman.
Okay.
So I got a pretty nice connection early days in with Hiko and, you know, on the team on Osmaid and then Ichiban. So it was a nice start for me, thanks to Dad.
And he funded your early sailing, I'm guessing, as well, or him and Mum?
Yeah, yep. Sort of. I had a Sabo, I had a fiberglass Sabo, not a foam sandwich Sabo, a fiberglass Sabo.
Right.
So I was pretty little. I sailed 2 up, and me and my crew, I didn't have wheels on my trolley. So we would cling on to one gunnel trying to lift it into the water, and someone's parent would be lifting the other side because Dad would be at sea or on his yacht. But yeah, like they definitely supported me in it, and you know, and Dad and I went halves in my next dinghy.
Oh.
And then I was off after that.
That's cool. So what did you love about it? What made I mean, you said your brother hated it. You loved it. What was the love for you?
Well, we grew up in Mooloolaba, and we often played in the canals. We had a little tinny with a 4 horsepower, which we were allowed to go at any age. I think we were allowed to go at any age on our own around with the 4 horsepower. But I wasn't allowed to do it without my brother. But I was allowed to sail my sailboat around the river without my brother.
Without your brother?
Yeah. So I think that might have been the deciding factor for me, why I really enjoyed it. But, as I grew up and I started to, get involved and watch yacht racing and things like that, I like the concept of going from A to B.
Okay.
So I've always preferred offshore sailing for that reason. And I think just the freedom of sailing was pretty cool at an early age.
That's very cool.
Did you get the opportunity to what yacht did your father have?
He had in the South Australian, should recognise this, a Duncanson 36.
Duncan.
Yeah.
There you go. So that kind of opened your eyes to what can happen offshore, right? And leave
exactly.
the land behind.
Yeah, we went cruising as kids. When Dad was home from sea, we go as far as we could, and then we'd all pile in the car and drive home, go back to school. So we got those little. For me, that was huge. I thought we were going. We were just going to Fraser Island or something, but I thought we were going halfway across the world when you're 7. But so that sort of started it, and I loved the idea of sailing yachts, and heaven help anyone who tried to assist me doing something on the boat. I'd give the Abby eye roll. I was capable, even though I was 25 kilos and 8 years old or something.
So at this stage you hadn't met Abby, obviously, so you're practicing the eye roll early. And do you think you met?
I channeled her already.
I was going to say you've channeled her, so you've sort of brought her into your life without you realising it. Obviously, you met your match with the eye roll, obviously.
God, must have been a quick trip from Mooloolaba to Fraser Island on a donkey.
Yeah,
pretty sure that was an overnight.
Could only go on the Christmas holidays.
Going away for 4 weeks. Where you going?
Those
Fraser
things
Island.
dig a lot of water when they move, don't they? Oh.
Yep. I never really understood why the side deck sloped away from the cabin, but it wasn't until it leant all the way over. It was actually training me for sailing on a Volvo 65.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So with the you did your first Hobart at 18, that was, and 18 and you're female, I have to, there has to be an element to that in the discussion.
Thanks for noticing.
There has to be an element of that though. It's not as easy. It wasn't as easy for women to get on boats. So was it that early connection that your dad had that got you that first ride, or was it?
No, actually,
talent?
I'm not. To be totally clear, how I ended up with that first ride, I think I had done a delivery. One of the racing boats came through Mooloolaba back in the day when the boats could fit in the river. And they had a pit stop on the way to Airlie Beach on a delivery. And I basically just went down and bugged them to take me with them. And it did the delivery. And then one of the guys on board had a Beneteau 40.7, which is what my first Hobart was on.
Oh, cool.
It was the 2001 Hobart. So basically, you'll remember this, the Tornado. You guys were in this Volvo leg for that race, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. And, so we actually didn't finish it. So it was a pretty disappointing first race. But little did I learn that, quite a lot of people with big scorecards have high numbers of DNFs as well as...
Lots of Sydney to Edens, lots of Sydney to Wollongong.
Yeah. But you went, I
remember that.
You've had some pretty amazing highs in the Hobart. Let's stick to the Hobart for now because obviously you've won the line honours on that perpetual line on a winner Wild Oats, and then you pinched the second boat. You just snuck around the back of the Oatley's place and pinched the other boat. And that must have been, I would suspect that was probably the moment that gave you the most pride.
Yeah, definitely skippering the girls' team, the all-female team on Wild Oats 10. We raced it under 11th hour racing, which was a nice follow-on from my second Volvo with those guys. But for me, it was, to be honest, it was a huge event because I had this idea at the end of the Volvo everyone starts talking about what are you going to do next. I'm like, oh, it's the Hobart race, of course. Like, what else do you do? And so I thought about it and thought, oh, well, if I can borrow a boat from someone and find some money, it's doable. You can put a team together. And then a good friend of mine, Dave Thomas, came to visit me in Cardiff during one of the stopovers, and he said, oh, why don't you ask Sandy Oatley if you can borrow Wild Oats 10? And I'm like, don't be ridiculous. That's too big an ask. And, and he was always reminding me it doesn't hurt to ask. And I did, and they said yes. So then I was kind of like, okay, well, I better get on with this and, find some money and put a team together. And, there was so many highlights of it was just the Oatleys agreeing. Apparently they asked their boat captain, Paul McGee, because I put forward a proposal of a crew list, and Sandy showed it to Paul McGee and said, oh, what do you think? Are the girls going to be capable? And Paulie said, they've got a better crew than we do.
The only way Paulie McGee can.
Yeah. In the end, I think we ended up with 21 laps of the planet amongst our crew. And our Hobart numbers were a bit lower than usual. Some boats, we had about 75 Hobarts between us of a crew of 13.
Wow.
So I still thought it was pretty good.
Wow.
So it was like those moments were really good. And then like ringing some of the ladies to ask them to join my crew, like asking Dee Kafari if she'd be my number 2, and having them say yes. Like asking Katie Pettibone,
Yes.
Whitbread sailor, America's Cup sailor, like all-round legend sailor. And when she was like, "Oh my God, thank you for asking," and I'm in the background like punching the air, jumping up and down, like yes, she said yes, kind of thing. And they were stoked that I'd asked. So like those little moments for me were amazing. But then you actually, did the race.
You have to do it.
And did the prep work. And, I tried to do a little speech before, like all good skippers should do. I was so nervous. I was like, thanks for coming. Okay, good luck. That's all I got out. But, I was just nervous in the sense that it was really exciting. I knew we had a good boat, a great crew, and the weather forecast was looking reasonably good for us at that point in time as well. So, and then you come to the overall, like even just finishing was amazing. Getting there, going, oh my God, we didn't trash the Oatleys boat, and just surviving the whole race. Like that's part of the challenge with the Hobart race is just finishing. And then as that afternoon progressed, it got more and more exciting. I've never arrived to the dock in Hobart, and the dock had about 1 inch of freeboard. Floating dock had so many people on it, all waiting for our arrival. And the boat that won came in the harbour just before us, and nobody was on their dock. They'd all come. I like to say we were the people's winner.
Fantastic. I mean, it is truly, it was great. And we should point out that the boat, I think it was Alive that won, wasn't it? Which is the sister ship. So it was pretty dominant performance. But just the whole process for the owners, like for the Oatleys, I would suggest, and for the crew at 11th hour, it couldn't have gone better. And for you guys, obviously, you really couldn't have done a better, great result, great sailing, great coverage, as you said.
Hey, Stace, was the whole 11th hour story part of it when you approached the Oatleys, or that kind of came?
No, actually, I literally just said, could I borrow your boat to sail at the Hobart with an all-girl crew? That's all I had gotten at that point in time.
Pitch.
And then as 11th hour racing came on board, we were like, well, now we've got like a purpose as well.
Yeah.
Did you know,
that is
Sandy?
an elevator pitch right there.
I was going to say.
Right between the first and second floor.
Yeah.
So had you met Sandy before?
I had, yes.
Oh, okay. So that was okay. It wasn't a complete canvas call.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't completely out of the blue. No, I had, been lucky enough. I'd worked for the Oatleys previously,
right,
as the nipper on Wild Oats, and sailed to Hobart with the guys on Wild Oats 11 in 2010. So I wasn't a total stranger to them. It's out of my character to just be forward and ask for something like that.
Yeah.
I tend to like work hard and hope that people see the purpose to support me. But that's where like a good mate of mine, Dave said, just ask them.
Back yourself. Just take it on.
My favourite bit though, Stace, when I look at the photos, the photo shoot you did, and so with the 11th hour, you went under the banner of Ocean Respect Racing. So with the 11th hour, they just don't throw money out. You've got to actually return to the planet. So, 11th hour exists to make things better. So you don't get money and then walk away. You've got to go and actually earn your keep. And so Ocean Respect, I think you organised a major cleanup of the shoreline. Yeah. And I was just wondering, how dirty did those white blazers they gave you get doing the cleanup?
So I had quite a battle with the marketing team about that because they clearly hadn't met me before. Because we're trying to reduce single-use items, so don't give me a white blazer because that's what it would become.
That will not be used again.
Yeah. So a little funny side story to that. So for the launch, they had us wearing these because they tried to tell me this was the female equivalent of the chinos and the dress shirt for the guys. Right. So I sort of thought, chino slacks and a white dress shirt for women would be the equivalent to that. But anyway, we ended up in these white suits, and Julie Bishop was our sort of mentor for our team. And the second she arrived, a lady walking her dog through Woolwich Dockyard, as it's a public walkway. Her dog jumped up and put dirty footprints right down Julie Bishop's trousers. Oh. And I a little bit wanted to say, I told you so, but I thought it was not the point or time to do it. But yeah, our actual whole sustainability campaign with 11th Hour Racing, look, I got so involved with it with the Volvo 11th Hour Racing campaign, and I just thought there's so much to it that people aren't getting involved with or are even educated about. So I thought it would be fun to bring 11th Hour to Australia. They hadn't really got much of a time in Australia with the Volvo, and to me, all the countries we visited sailing around the world, Australia was the worst at all of recycling or just sort of living more sustainably. So it was fun to bring that on board and show you can race a yacht and you can still, you don't have to create this big pile of trash at the end of the campaign. And we did beach cleanups and as an educational tool. And then we even calculated our footprint and offset our whole campaign by donating to a company that plants seagrass to sort of help battle against CO2 emissions.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. I guess
that whole involvement with 11th Hour, with the Volvo, and then also taking it the next step and kind of being the face for them. Has that now carried on into your day-to-day life now and telling that story?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought I thought it was good. I recycled. I used my recycle bin, and then I joined the Volvo and I went, holy smokes, there's so much more that we can be doing. And it's really easy to do it. And that's like the message, that the very simple message is that we can all make a little difference. And if we all continue to do that, that builds up, and before you know it, you're making a big difference. So yeah, absolutely. Through all aspects of my life, it's just as simple. I take my drink bottle to sailing. I join a yacht for the weekend here in Brisbane. I just take my water bottle, and it's full of water, and I don't need to use a single-use plastic bottle on the boat. And most boats are sort of, I do that, and then they go, oh, wow, that's a good idea. And next week they've got water bottles in these really cool Nauti bag water bottle holders that you can stick on the side of your bag.
www.nautibags.com.au.
That's brilliant.
Nice one. That was well done.
I must say, Stacey, because we've all probably had the same experience in the without blowing smoke up 11th Hour. Without that involvement, it's changed my understanding immensely in the last 8 years. Because of 11th Hour, they have done some incredible stuff. On a business level, on a personal level, they're across everywhere, and so. good on them, like Wendy Schmidt spending all that money. She's having an effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also now a brand that people know as well. 11th Hour is a common sailing brand and, environmental ambassador as 11th Hour. Obviously, Charlie and Pascal are, they're just about to finish the TJV with their newest edition of the 11th Hour racing fleet. So they're really making a brand, and it's awesome to have them in our sport and just in our environment. In our whole world, they're making a big difference.
So before we hit the Volvo,
just back one there. Not only are they doing that, but the team they have behind them. Like, we've spoken to a lot of their team, not only from the sailing side, but also from on the shore side and everything. And it's they can see the power in using sailing as that stepping stone, right? It does get into a lot of people's lounge rooms, for that matter.
Yeah, so they always say a scientist on a billboard telling you a fact about the environment doesn't have nearly as big impact as an athlete doing it.
Yeah, right.
And then when you combine the sport of sailing when you're caring for the environment, it makes sense because every aspect of sailing is based off good weather or clean oceans and things like that. So it's the perfect match.
Certainly is.
I was just going to give you a little nice tie-in because you gave the little plug for Nauti bags, but obviously with that business you do recycle old sails and stuff into pretty fashionable bags as well.
Yeah, so I actually started that after I got back from my first Volvo. I'd been thinking about it and, slow nights in the doldrums. The girls were helping me brainstorm names, and Sarah Hastrader gets credit for the name Nauti Bags, actually. So,
how convenient.
Yeah, there's some jokes there, but I'm not touching it.
Have you made some cow boots?
So we should edit that out, or
have you made some cowgirl boots for her out of some recycled stuff?
Some chaps, maybe.
And some chaps. I was about to say chaps. You beat me to it. Well done.
We're all going to get a phone call from Sarah now. You watch.
Oh, she loves it.
So that's a cool little business. I originally just did it on the side. I'm a sail maker by trade. I like making things. I like sewing. So it was just something I could do in between being away sailing for a living. So, but it's kind of it's become like one of the main gigs right now. Sailing's sort of a little bit in the last 18 months took the back foot in my life. So yeah, Nauti Bags has been going great. So
that's cool. That's cool. Well, let's talk about the Volvo because that's a big step. Because your Volvo is the SCA team SCA in 14-15, and then onto the Vestas 11th Hour 17-18. So the first one, all female. Was that how'd you get that? Was it unreal? Was it? It would have been unreal. Can you imagine? You know what they should do one year, just for a bit of fun? They should have an all-female bloke and just one guy. That would be hilarious, just to see how he comes out, whether he comes out alive or not. They
had Brad Jackson.
It started off with Mason.
No, in all honesty, Stace, we've had varied feedback on the full female team versus the mixed team, and you've done both, obviously.
It's a good question. Where you go?
A little bit of feedback on that one.
Yeah, so look, the first race, all female, is, for a lot of us, it was a massive step up in our sport. My longest, trip on a sailing boat, on a racing boat in a racing scenario would have probably been 6 days. And, that's probably in the Med as well. I'd sailed to to New Zealand before on deliveries on racing boats, but nothing like what we were doing. So for me, it was a massive step up. We had, 3 ladies on board who'd sailed around the world or done the Volvo before in Sam Davies in the Vendée, and then Caroline Brower, Abby Ella, and Liz Wardley. But the last time they did their race was 12 years ago. So Abby, I remember one day in the Southern Ocean, Abby goes, "Oh, that's right. I remember how cold it is." Because you forget these things and you choose to not remember how cold it was, because why would you? Because you'd never go back, really. So we had this huge experience gap to close. And, and we said this in the prep, that we will get to the finish line and we'll be ready for the race, because we needed to get a lap of the planet under our belts for experience to be matching the guys. So, we were definitely progressing, and to second last leg of the race, we win the leg. So, clearly we were on the climb. That was quite a tough upwind leg, and we were always good upwind. So unfortunately we were doing the wrong race, because the Volvo is typically downwind.
Predominantly.
But, we finished that leg, and we had people like Ian Walker and Val Becking congratulating us on schooling them in the race, so that for us was a huge high. But then my next race, my watchmate, Tony Mutter, is doing his 6th Volvo. So so for me, it was a huge learning curve again, because I got to learn and shadow him in every aspect of the race. Whereas we always got to the point with the girls where we'd get to our next level of our learning and then hit that same sort of experience barrier. Yeah. So I think that was a big difference. If you come down to like, what's it like sailing with all women versus blokes, I don't know. To me, it was the difference for me was the boat was crowded on SCA because we had 12 people on it. Mm. To me, that's the difference. Yep. I don't see the difference sailing with women or men, because in my experience, no matter what boat I've sailed on, there's always been one woman on board. Yep. Whether it's, me or there's other women as well. Yep. And otherwise it's been men. So that's not like a new world for me, sailing with guys. Probably sailing with all women was the new world. But we were all there to try and, even though like we say this, we were still trying to win it. Chances of winning it early days, of the legs early days, were low because our experience level wasn't there. But we were there with that same mentality as the guys were. It's just whether we could execute it as well.
What about, when you did that second race with Tony Mutter, as you say, you're on watch with Tony Mutter. It must have been difficult with all the emotional roller coaster that is Tony Mutter. Like he goes so he gets so emotional.
Yeah, and it just pervades it so well. How you feeling, Tone? Yeah.
Stoic.
Perfectly summed up.
No. It'd be if you're going to be in the Southern Ocean and stuff going on all around you, I mean, maybe him and Tony Ray are the two best guys to have standing next to you, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, having said that, we were approaching Cape Horn. Tony was driving. I was sitting. By now, the water over the boat's just relentless. So we'd have someone sit in the tiny little cuddy at the back of the cabin. You'd get a little bit of relief from the waves, and you were the person who would run back to the winch to ease the sheet of the kite if we were going to trip out, or at that point a lot of boats were Chinese driving, and the waves were getting so steep as we were approaching land, as the water was shalling up, and Tony said, "We got to take this sail down." And I thought, wow, if Tony doesn't want it up anymore and he's driving, let's get it down. I'm like loading furling lines, getting sheets ready to ease. And, so when Tony says something like that, you follow it pretty much to the word.
Yeah. Love it. What's your best memory from those laps of the planet?
Wow. I get asked a lot, and I keep thinking, I'm going to get the answer to that question. But it's really the whole thing about it, like for me, the first time with SCA, I crossed the equator for the first time, all these experiences, like the start of the race is amazing. Mm. So, I get super nervous for races, which and once it starts, that's gone and I'm in it sort of thing. But the starting the Volvo in Alicante in 2014, just remember, you do this they just put you through this punishing little inshore course first, so you get nice and hot and sweaty before you go offshore for, however many weeks it's going to be. And I remember doing that. We rounded the last mark of that course, and then sort of we're off onto the first long leg. So you just for this 1 second, you get it before you start moving the stack, you get this second just to look around and think, I'm starting this is it. I'm actually doing the Volvo Ocean Race. And I think that to me was like the cool, because there's boats everywhere, there's helicopters, there's all sorts of things going on. It's the Hobart race start by 100.
Yeah.
And the pressure's there by 100 and the excitement and everything, So like there's a lot of cool moments. The start is amazing. You tick boxes like the equator, doldrums, you could leave that really. But sailing around Cape Horn is, I got a lot of messages from good mates of mine like Rhino Godfrey and all those guys, they've all done the lap before or several, and they congratulate you on rounding Cape Horn, because it really is like a huge moment. It's not so many people get to do it. Our team, our funny story about us going around the Horn with SCA, our team had a photographer and a helicopter camped out, where he could, far south, I think in Ushuaia. And he managed to catch everyone rounding Cape Horn, got up in the air, took photographs. We were a little bit behind because we'd had a big spectacular crash in the Southern Ocean and blew up a sail. So we were a little bit behind the other guys by Cape Horn. And the weather got so bad, there was ice in the air and the helicopter couldn't fly.
Oh, no.
So we took selfies as we rounded Cape Horn, and that was it.
That's good ones. But most people we've had on the show have said seeing me or Bicey when they got to their finish at each stopover.
Well, that was my very next point.
Oh, dear. So, Barkarati talks a lot about pathways and talks a lot about how you get to where you got to. Now, I did allude early to the fact that you were working with Telefonica in 2008 and 9 as a sailmaker. A lot of people do ask us, how do I get to this level? How do I get to that, be put in that position where you could actually take that next step? Was that the plan, to just get in there and do what we do? So we all do it. We all go in there and we grab a broom and we sweep and we persist and we pressurise and we just get amongst it. Is that how it panned out?
Yeah, look, I'd like to say it was like, this plan I had, and every step was always part of the journey. But I think I lucked out a lot with a lot of it. Like I decided I wanted to move to Sydney and race big boats. So to do that, my old man said, get a job. So I got a job as an apprentice sailmaker. Mm-hmm. And that was actually
Who was that with?
I believe a really good move.
Who was that with?
I did my apprenticeship with North Sails.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is that a big company or?
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of them. Yeah. So down in Sydney, I actually, for some reason, sort of didn't think to do it in Brisbane. Went to Sydney.
Had to skate squarky.
Yeah, and then, exactly. I actually didn't know the guys then. I was, very not involved in the scene at all. So there I am, this 18-year-old girl turns up at North Sails, and they're all like, it's a girl, but we survived it. Everyone did, myself and the guys in the loft. So that was good. But that was, like you say, that gave me that opportunity to then, I pestered and nagged people to get involved, because it's like that squeaky wheel kind of attitude. And a job, a sailmaking job came up with Telefonica. So I got to do that. So then I've now seen how Volvo stopovers work, and I've just got even more the taste.
Who was the link to that? Because I think you rocked up with us in India, wasn't it?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, India was the first.
Coach in.
Yep. Yeah, that was a good experience.
Yeah, for want of better words.
Have you ever shared about your job list on your work board?
No.
With you guys? No. Should we tell that story or?
Oh, go on. We can do that.
Well, I worked on the night shift with a couple of Kiwis. Kiwi Lockie and Stu Craig.
Yes.
And we worked hard. as we did. No one else was around. It was really just the sail off that were working 24 hours a day. And we thought it'd be funny just to brighten people's mornings when they came into work the next day. So we did little jokes. We rigged up air horns to people's seats. So when they sat down, the air horn go off. And BP had this brilliantly neat job list written on a whiteboard and screwed to the wall of the container and everything. And we went to all the effort to unscrew it, turn it upside down. And I remember you weren't too happy about it. But, a couple of days went by and you were refusing to wipe your list off and write it back up the right way. Or just turn the board upside down. So you ran with it upside down for a while, and then I think you got annoyed by it and you rewrote your list. And then that night we turned it upside down again.
That's good. That's how we roll here at Telefonica.
It went on quite a while, didn't it? It was a long stopover, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was fun, though. It was all good fun. But anyway, so you've pushed hard. You've got yourself to that position. Obviously, that was the first taste of, the big league, the Volvo, and all that sort of stuff. And what? Look, the questions that everyone wants to ask is, how do you take the next step? How do you network yourself? Do you go and speak to opposition skippers? Do you speak to opposition crews? Do you just, do you speak to team owners? And how did you get to the next level?
Yeah, I think, again, so SCA came on the scene, and look, in a way, I was lucky that there was going to be a women's Volvo, because I wasn't going to be able to convince someone to take a woman on a team with men who had never done the Volvo before. So to get that step, I was very lucky that SCA came up. But I went through the process like everyone else and applied and did the tryout. Actually didn't successfully get the spot on the boat after the first tryout, because our coaches and everyone who was selecting the team thought there'd be more women out there who had ocean experience, like actually crossing oceans, and there just weren't that many. Those who had it were already in the team. Mm-hmm. So they sort of said, we're looking for someone with more current, ocean crossing experience. And I was like, okay, well, I still think I'm good for this job. So, you're going to hear from me. The phone's not going to go dead, And I sort of did that for a while and, kept working. I had a job in Australia with Blackjack.
Correct.
And we just received a Volvo 70. So I'm now like, oh, yeah, I know everything about Volvo 70s. I've spent every day on this one. Like, you need me kind of, and really just kind of try to sell my strengths as a boat captain, sailmaker, and at that time, I just was sailing as much as I could as well, and being current in what you're trying to do is definitely a big key to that success. But even if it's not Volvo, for me, like a lot of advice, I work with the Magenta Project mentoring campaign they do, and a lot of it's about working on getting your experience, but also sort of meeting people, like you say, BP. It's going down to the boats, going down the club. You're not going to be able to just rock up and say, you don't know me, but take me sailing. But, maybe you start with the twilight races and then they go, oh, okay, you can sail. And then or maybe you come in the other path and do deliveries, and then the boat captain, I always reckon the most important person to have on your side is the boat captain, because I've done enough of that work. And if the boat captain has a good delivery crew and they have, they will then suggest you for the racing team as well, sort of thing. So that's another path into it. But always having that, having something to bring to the team was a huge thing that I took on board personally. So being a sailmaker. Yeah,
massive point. Huge point. Yeah.
And then even like, here we go, here's another segue. Even like having qualifications, like your first aid certificate and your safety and sea survival certificate, things like that to bring on board, because they're requirements for the racing. So why not help by having that? Even if you're not the most experienced person on the board, on the boat, you can tick the box for them as well.
Just have it.
That whole the second skill side of things is a massive part of it. And when it comes to choosing a team, because you can, what's the saying that Brownie always used to say, you don't want a team of rock stars, but you want a rock star team. And you need all those elements, and especially offshore.
Yeah, because you could offshore, there's medical skills as well. Like at the Volvo, we do a lot of extra medic training, and one of the ladies was a paramedic. So we were like, brilliant. Like she's already got her second skill, whether you can fix a winch or service a winch or, stitch a cover back on a halyard or something like that. It's all there.
Actually, the paramedics, they must be pretty good at sail making too. Like making all the furler covers and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
putting leather around the wheel.
I used
spreaders.
I say used to. I know a sailmaker who thinks he's a pretty good paramedic as well. So.
and really looking forward to the opportunity. Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, he tried. He did his first stitches on the back of my head. I'm good with a needle and thread.
Bloody hell.
So speaking of the segue though, this takes us into your setup, which you and Mel Passy have set up now. Peasy. Sorry. Yeah. How do I speak to her now then? How do I start?
G'day, Mel.
So you've tell us about your new venture.
Yeah, so Mel Peasy and I started a business called 27 South Ocean Training. And what we've done, we've gone ahead and got ourselves accredited to teach the SSSE, the Safety and Sea Survival course. That's a requirement for offshore racing for Australian sailing and world sailing. So we saw a gap in Queensland. A lot of Queenslanders, when they go, oh, my certificate's not current and I'm going to do the Hobart, they end up having to travel to Sydney for the weekend to do it.
Yeah, right.
So we saw a need to do it in Queensland. And also just like from my own personal view, I feel like safety is something that we can always improve on and it can always keep going forward. And you can never really be too practiced at it.
Is it so obviously that whole aspect of setting up the safety thing, do you think, was it just because you've got the experience or were you inspired by incidents or, like what's the driving factor for you and Mel?
Well, for me personally, I've always been the person who's like, announcing it's time to put the life jackets on and checking people are using their tethers and stuff like that. I think a little bit through experiences over the time. I always say that the more you do, sort of the law of averages catches up. So whether it's just you've been in a dismasting now because you do enough sailing, eventually that might happen. So for me, I sort of you do those courses and you sit there and you go, oh yeah, I've had a fire cooking the bacon and eggs. Yeah. I've seen a man overboard situation or I've dropped a rig and you just think, wow, there's a lot here that when people start out sailing, they don't understand any of this that goes on. Probably if you did, you probably wouldn't get into sailing. But so for me, I just saw that there was this window of, not a lack of safety, but a lack of ability to get this training in Queensland. So we thought we'd step up. No point just talking about it. We might as well, help be part of the solution.
And that solution's working? Like you're getting plenty of people through?
Yeah.
So
for this first quarter of this financial year, and so our first course was July. We were the top SSSC centre for Australia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
cool.
happy with that.
Yeah. You better get Alex.
It's a big, I agree. It's a big access thing, right? Having access to be able to do it because otherwise the excuses are way too easy.
Absolutely.
And not only access, but being flexible about the timings and all those sorts of things because not everyone just has a weekend put aside for that thing in particular. But if it's planned in advance and all those different things, and I imagine that's what you're doing and you're getting it out there, and it's also an educational piece, right?
Yeah, and so what we've sort of done because someone said, oh, what are you going to do when Stacey goes off sailing? And that's the whole point. When I go off sailing, it's too late to do the course because you need the course to do the same races that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So we've set our schedule that doesn't clash with races and it doesn't clash with school holidays. And, we know that there'll be a a rush for courses for Easter for the Brisbane to Gladstone in Queensland. So we have courses leading into it. They're all available now on our website, so people can book in and they can plan around. And we've taken a bit of like COVID's adapted a lot of things. We actually do our first day of training as an option. If you're traveling to do our course, you can do that as Zoom. And then the second day, the practical day, obviously you've got to attend. So then it just gives that flexibility. So we do that over 2 evenings as well, because we figured everyone's busy. It's really hard to give up a whole weekend. So we do 2 evenings and a Saturday. And so far it's working. And, everyone seems to be quite happy and booking in. And we're selling out courses. So it's pretty good start.
Time for a plug. How do they find you?
Yeah. So, 27 South Ocean Training. Website's 27south.org.
There we go.
I must admit, we've discussed this on Barkarati. We want to bring more safety discussion in as part of the show. We want to actually start ramping up a bit about the understanding of safety, like going to sea or going to sea in a dinghy, there's people can die easily in our sport because if you make a mistake, you go underwater and sometimes it's hard to find you. If you go overboard at sea, once you're overboard, I tell people when they get on a boat, if you go overboard at sea, getting found is the bonus. You are dead once you go overboard. If you're found, that's just a bonus. It's just so hard to bring people back onto a boat. So that whole process of being safer is something we're really into. What would you say, like if you were new to the sport, from a safety perspective, like stepping on a boat the first time, what are the things that someone should think of?
Well, it's and like you say, it's a big sport. Like our sport it's a water sport, so there's instantly a danger to it. It's a bit like sort of surf life saving. There's a risk. There's always going to be a risk when you put water in anything. So sort of, I think this important thing is when you're arriving to a boat, for the first time or new to sailing, is you really got to be aware of what's happening and be aware of the condition of the boat. Like, is it set up for Hobart? So if it's set up for Hobart, it's got a lot of extra safety equipment on board. And where is it? Can you find it? Do you know what you're looking for? If you don't, you really just need to talk to someone on the boat and explain to them that you're new to this. And I think that's the key because, what you don't know is actually the biggest danger. So if you can buddy up with someone who on the boat does and they can take you under your wing, then that will be like one of the biggest things that can help you when you're starting out.
The other one is the drills, right? Everyone practices man overboard drills, or sometimes they do, and they never practice an unresponsive person coming on board. I cannot emphasise that enough. You've got to practice with someone that is not responsive coming on board because that is so much harder to get somebody back on the boat, and you've got to have a plan for that. And the other one, kids, if you're sailing on boats with trapezes, every person that doesn't have a trapeze is sailing with someone with a trapeze must understand the quickest way they can pull it off a person in case they are trapped. I've only ever sailed once in my life with a skipper who has ever asked that question, how do I get your trapeze belt off? Carter Jackson, probably the loosest unit in sailing. Most people would be surprised that Carter Jackson was the person that asked that, but he was, I think, there when somebody died being pinned by a trapeze. So there's basic things that you've got to think of. Take it to the next level. And I would just argue that unresponsive, getting someone back on board that's unresponsive is something no one thinks of.
Did you hear about the first time when Jordan went sailing, Stace?
Oh, here we go.
And his dad said to him, hey, Jordan, look out for the boom. So he put his fingers in his ears and then this stick just came flying across and took him out.
Explains. Good. Pity I was 10 days old and I wouldn't have got that joke. So, from the perspective of, have you had, like, in some of your experiences, have you seen near-miss situations, Stace, where you've just gone, uh-oh?
Yeah, well, perfect example of sort of a near-miss would be my man overboard. I actually fell overboard and I originally didn't like to talk about this because I was embarrassed, but now I realize it's it is still stupid of me to have found myself in that situation, but there's a lot to learn from it. And I actually fell over in the China Sea race, first evening out, and it was just like with a lot of these scenarios, there's these little moments that happen, and one of them on its own is fine, but you add them all up and it's a disaster. So whether it was like, okay, we're talking about life jackets on because we're approaching sunset, but then we called for a sail change, and then the sail change went on hold and we went for a reef, and it just snowballed, and then, a mistake was made, and it resulted with me in the water
At night time.
It was sort of dark as they were pulling me back on board.
Wow.
Perfect recipe of just one thing would have been fine. It ended up in the water. So for the first time ever, actually having to use my safety equipment, using my my AIS beacon, and floating in the water without my life jacket on and things like that. So, but what I realized was really, I was very lucky. So they did find me. I had a good torch on me, and I had my AIS on me, and the guy said when they looked back, all they could see was the light of my torch. In the daylight, they couldn't actually see me. So it was but it was a timely reminder that it's actually really hard.
Blessing.
Yeah, to find someone in the water. So, it all worked out. I was rescued. So for me, it was really important to, rather than be embarrassed by it, share my story.
Yep.
I got home and I shared with my good mates on Blackjack how essential my little torch became in that scenario. And so then they all, standard issue, get this same torch. Because for me, and a lot of people, someone brought it up in the safety course who was on board, and he said in his experience of a man overboard, which was referring to my situation, was he could only see that. I had a red spray jacket on. Didn't make it any easier to see me.
No.
So, having the right equipment on you helps. Would have been better if I'd had my life jacket on. So a lot of things came of that. But what I realised when we did get ashore and, we sort of got on with it when I got back on board and, went on and won the race and broke the record and things, which I was quite relieved about after having stopped the boat for a period of time, was how much it actually affected everyone else on board.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of people, real different area of experience, and maybe the lesser experienced guys were very shaken by it. So I didn't realise what my actions actually wasn't just scary for me; it was actually really scary for everyone on board. And I take that now, knowing what I'm doing to other people when I do actions on a boat.
I think my personal view, and I don't know if the other blokes have a different view, is the most important thing if you're offshore to have on your body is a signalling device at all times. Whether it's a little mirror, mirror for daytime, light for nighttime, or one of those laser flares. I don't know if you guys are into those laser flares. I am. I reckon that's the most critical thing. Can I sort of segue a little bit, like just get back into what's happening for the future for Stacey, because we're sort of down to our last few minutes. Offshore experience, we've got BP on the line who's developing what's going to be the most successful double-hander vessel in the world. Globally, yeah. One, are you interested in the double-handed world? And two, any safety concerns?
Yeah, I'll definitely be interested in it. So my address, do you need just send it to Royal Queensland, Brad?
Yeah, no worries.
Send it to the marina. B12 if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Is that a stern?
Starboard side too.
Starboard side.
Yeah.
Stern in.
Do too. With a passerelle if you don't mind.
What colour do you want?
Magenta, of course.
Magenta.
Magenta. No, I've done my time with magenta.
No.
Yeah, look, I did a bit at the start of this year. We had the sort of Blue Water Series races that they made up that we didn't get to do last year because of COVID. So I did both of those races. The third race got cancelled for weather. I sailed two-handed with Rupert Henry on his Lombard 34.
Yeah.
Very proudly won the series.
Congratulations.
Two-handed, thank you. We were the only boat in the first race, so that helped. But we did win the second one against all the other boats as well. Okay. So, but yeah, look, it was my first sort of foray into two-handed sailing, other than the delivery down from Queensland. So yeah, it was definitely a learning curve, which was fun. There's clearly a lot to learn. I was impressed by how hard it is.
Yeah.
You know, I understood there was only one other person on board, but it's very tiring. It was, you know, and those short races to Flinders Islet and back, you know, normally you do that on a yacht and you'll do a little sitting on the rail for a bit, or, you know, but when you finish at 3 a.m. and you've done it, you've sailed the whole time because you have to, because there's only 2 of you. It was amazing how hard it was. But I look forward to having a go of one of your boats, Brett. I'm sure I might be able to muscle in with Alice maybe.
You're on the list, don't worry.
And have a little go when she gets her boat.
Well, so with the double-handed float in the Hobart, like what is it, BP? Is it 18 boats or something?
Yeah,
20 plus now.
20 plus, yeah, 20 plus.
Double-handers. So
yeah, it's become so popular that they were even at the Skipper's press release. One Jules Hall, Jules Hall, I should say. He's sailing on a boat called Disco Trooper, which is his boat that he's had for years.
Fantastic.
A J99. I'm going to give him a bit of a plug here. He's sailing with Clogsy, Jan Scholten, and they're favourites at the moment to take it out, obviously, in that division. But they actually made it into the Skipper's press release, so that was good. Standing next to Matt Allen and Christian Beck and all the big names. So it is getting recognition, and it's what it deserves. And I think it's exciting.
I'm gonna give Stacey a question here, that with slightly dangerous end to it. You're going to Hobart again this year. What boat are you going down on?
I'm going on Oroton Drumfire.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Now, do you think a double-hander should be able to win the race overall?
Absolutely.
Yo!
I know how hard it is to sail double-handed. If you can win, you bloody well deserve to win.
There you go.
Yep, it's exactly true. Well done.
There's the argument of the autopilot. I get it. You know, no one drives better than an autopilot. But the autopilot isn't going to pack the spinnaker or outside jibe the spinnaker, hoist it, put the reef in. There's so much more that happens and is involved, and there are only 2 people on board. So if 2 people can sail their boat to their rating and win,
that is of course, unless you get a Lisbot.
I'm glad she came up again. I've missed her. Imagine a Lisbot and an Abby eye roll.
Well, then you've got too many special powers and you couldn't possibly.
It is superpowers. You're right. So what's your superpower, Stace?
Well, the fact she's sitting in a Superwoman outfit there is...
Correct.
Yeah, sorry, I actually...
All of the above.
Yeah.
Confidence is my superpower.
No, true. But
so, with this trip down, are you going to win, or what's the plan?
I will definitely be a winner in this race. We will eat roast dinners.
Sailing and Stacey's the winner.
Yeah, we will be, putting our slippers on to go down below, to protect the interior.
Do you get your own pillow or?
Yes, own, own pillow, share a bunk with one other. You have a drawer, you put your kit bag, you don't even put kit bag. You just put your clothes in the drawer, because we don't want kit bags rolling around in the yacht.
Not good for business, Stace. Hope you made some linings for the drawers.
If every time you go off watch, Stace,
naughtybags.com.au.
You can throw a few bags over the side.
Don't forget to squeegee the shower when you get out of the shower, because that hard water of the tanks, it actually stains the glass of the showers.
Exactly.
Very important.
Let's get serious. So what's the future like? We're about
serious.
We're going to have to sign out. Sorry. We'll have to sign out in a sec. But so what is the plans, assuming everything, well, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID, do we? So we know you'll be at Sail GP.
Yep. Yep, gonna get a little taste of Sail GP as a sailmaker on the shore team, which we got because that's how I did. That's how I eventually got on a Volvo boat. That's my start. So I feel like that would be good because just to remind everyone, I do foil a lot. I'm foiling.
Yeah, mothing.
Correct.
Yeah,
we know that.
Just to remind everyone, I'm a foiling sailor. In case people are looking for
even coaching foiling today.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I was sort of like just trying to give him a bit of courage more than anything than coaching at this point in time. Just be better was most of my my input. But doing that. Hobart race, always just got to do that every year. This year will be number 14 for me. And then look,
got one in front of me. Damn
it. Number 14.
You deserve it.
So this will be 13 for you, BP.
No, well, I'm not going. Unfortunately, I've got projects
You'll
on.
be two up.
I'm too
busy. Two ahead, Stace.
I'm too busy. Too busy this year, but definitely will be there next year.
Okay, perfect.
Assuming Sail GP goes ahead with all sorts of stuff going on right now in the world, I'll be doing for Sail GP doing the VIP program. I'll be doing tours of the facility. So, Stacey, we'll have to create a few stories.
Hey, do me a favour, George.
What?
Go in there and turn her work list upside down.
Done.
Yeah, okay, you get one of those.
You get one. But so it only goes for 2 days. So
I'm just trying to think what I might come up and introduce you as Yolanda or someone like that, Yolanda Plane or... We'll just land a plane. We'll just come up with a few funny names, Green Forest. I don't know, Forest Green, something. I'll just come up with something. But so just be warned, Stace. You'll hear my voice.
You see a bloke looking like Jim Courier walking around. Stand by.
Well, we were practicing the Volvo when we could hear your voice in the tents on a tour. We'd always get out of the way.
Exactly.
I need to get roped into this tour.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Cool. All right. Well, we're hoping we're looking forward to bumping into you again, obviously, and good luck with 27 South Ocean training, Nauti bags, the Sail GP, the Hobart. My fans, What else?
And
what else?
Jordan calling you Yolanda Plane.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Dear.
Yeah, look, I think the 2 round the world is a nice number, but I think 3 would be a nice way to wrap it up.
There's another one in there.
All right.
I think so. It's been long enough. I've forgotten. I always say to everyone, "Oh no, that's it. That was hard. Won't do that again." And then I think, "Oh, really just saw
Yeah.
I don't know about the 15,000-mile leg from Cape Town to Brazil.
Wow.
Maybe I'm a little injured for that one or something. That leg out.
That's going to be a tough one.
I'd like to certainly do some of the next race. Probably easier said than done, but definitely a goal.
Good, we got it out there. Everyone listens, so it's cool. All right. Absolute
Stace.
Rock and pleasure to see you as usual.
We'll see you in Sydney, and look forward to it.
Look forward to it. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Good on you, Stace. Speak to you soon.
See ya.
Cheers.
Mate, how good was that?
Oh, mate.
Super. I'd like to say, the whole, females in the sport and at the pinnacle of the sport, but you look at everything else as well, the sustainability side, what she's done there, telling that story, and now the safety side, like could be Ma'am Stacey Jackson coming up.
Ma'am.
Wow. Yeah. Running for politics, but she is a bit of a superstar, isn't she? And a quiet one. I'll be honest. She's definitely a quiet one. She's as she said, she doesn't sort of push herself forward. She hopes people see her. She did give herself a little plug at the end there, which is obviously she wants to do another ocean race, and good on her. Good on her. Stick your hand up.
But I think the biggest thing, which we try and touch on all the time with these situations where we have someone like Stacey on, is the pathway. We talked about it and we get asked all the time, how do I do that? How do I get there? But it's just another perfect example. If you want it bad enough, get off your butt and get out there and make it happen.
Yep. Walk down the docks, pick up the broom, whatever it is.
Yeah, go and do some deliveries.
The only thing,
go and introduce yourself.
Get the second skills.
the one thing you guys left out, and BP, you probably left it out. Bicey's favourite comment that you need as well. You've got to have a certain element to it. You've got to just, what's the term you use, Bicey, when you got to be a good person, basically? What do you call it?
Oh.
The no dickhead rule, or
The no dickhead rule.
Basically, if you're going to be at sea with someone, So anyway,
It's true,
hey?
and it's a perfect example. And I sort of touched on that really early in the piece, in that, she lobbed up in coaching in India and turned my work board upside
that's
down.
genius.
Was not afraid.
Love it.
Stu Gray, by the way, Stu Gray and Lockie, you do have a lot to answer for it. I know it's 13 years, but I haven't forgotten.
Yeah, love it. So what I'll do, BP, just on that, is when I'm doing these tours, I'll ask some of the VIPs, any ideas for pranks to get Stacey back, so we can just
go and do it, nail it. Yeah,
So
I'll give you my blessing.
Cool.
Hide a sailing kit or something, or a sail repair kit or something. Just little things.
It'll be a good story. Cool. All right, moving on. Club events. A little bit of a weird one for you guys. It's not a club event, but I did see our friends at Sail World. So Sail World, the online magazine, which I read religiously. They're doing. They had a little discussion about a new design OK dinghy coming off. We haven't mentioned
what number mould is this?
Yeah. M11.
I'll tell you, it's I think his name's Sam Leach. It's a Dan Leach. Dan Leach,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a Dan Leach design. So it's version 5 of the Dan Leach designs, being built by Matty Mason. So Matty was well known in the sailing world, obviously Kiwi sailor, four-time America's Cup sailor. But the OKs, which are they're a 65-year-old boat, and we've never mentioned them, I don't reckon. They've built more boats.
The Palace, where I go to and talk crap with on Friday night, is actually the hub of OK
sailing
in Sydney. Yeah,
right.
I reckon there's there's 10 of them sailing religiously every day.
Yeah. Well, I think the story I heard the other day, and the reason I sort of brought it up, is that there's more OK dinghies being built in the last year or two than in any other year. So. They seem to be quite popular. I mean, they're really popular in Europe. And I just noticed the Worlds are going to be in Brisbane in 2024, I think. So, get onto it. But
is that where you're heading?
No, not for me. I'm going in for knee surgery, my 4th knee surgery in a couple of weeks. So
really,
yeah. I'm just about a walking cripple these days. I doubt I'll even be able to hike off the side of a boat. And those who've sailed with me in the last year, which has been very rare, it can attest to how poor I hike these days. So,
so we hear. So
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Anyway, that new design's it's the Maverick design, 5th version. Apparently, they've moved the width a little bit further aft to give it. The ability to handle slightly heavier crew and supposedly be a better build. But anyway, I just thought I was interested. I was just more talking about the OK dinghies. I've never sailed one, but I know a lot of people love them like the Finn. So, thought we'd give a bit of a poke.
Super popular. And Matty Mason, I'll be seeing you Hobart. You know what I drink.
Love it. Cool. All right. Well, we have to do this one. I think all 3 of us want to do this one. The Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week.
Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week.
Wow.
It's actually quite cool. I mean, he's all been a part of that Jack Lloyd thing anyway. So
he'll be touched.
Both the recipient this week and Jack Lloyd were really good mates.
Yes.
So it is only fitting that he walks away with the Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week.
But one thing, we will not be threatened. We are thick-skinned. We've been in this industry a long time, and we know what's going on. So if you're going to tell us that we don't have our finger on the pulse, Nathan Quirk, there it is. That's the listener of the week. Yeah, We're onto this. So guys, go for it. Take it away.
Okay.
So during the week, we received an email from one Nathan Quirk saying that if we did not reach out or interview this one particular gentleman who you alluded to earlier at the intro, BP, which is Bjorn Dunkerbeck, who basically sailed his windsurfer at 55.97 knots over a 500-metre course, he will stop listening. Instantly. Now, this for the listener, we have a shared email account, cheers@barkarati.com. And, mate, you were quick, BP.
I know.
Within at least 1 minute 38, you've gone back to him. No, already done it. Trying to get hold of him.
It's
being
true.
a couple of bloody windsurfer.
Yeah. What? Have you seen the videos?
Absolutely. Watched it over and over.
Unbelievable.
It'd be a great get.
Yeah. Oh, we can get Bjorn. I'm sure we can get Bjorn.
Well, we could ring up Robbie. See if Robbie will get him because he's not answering his messenger at the moment.
There's plenty of ways to get to Bjorn. Speaking of the video though, like, just could you imagine coming off like a little fin slide and coming off, mate? Like that would just be horrendous. That was just insane. Like that channel that they raced down at Luderitz or whatever it's called.
Oh, it's insane, and it's only shallow too.
Mate, that is a bloody ball time, I tell you. Trying to get down there.
Yeah.
But I've got to say one thing, and this is something that I can't quite get my head around it. There was footage the other week of a foiler wanking on about how they've done 33 knots. And I'm going, well, yeah, good on you. You've been doing that for years. You know, what's happening?
I mean, my feedback between the foilers and the windsurfers, there's a lot of people going back to the traditional windsurfing. Just for the sheer, like you are there on the water, you've got the sail in your hand. So there's nothing quite like it. And we just saw that with
the footage. Unbelievable.
Yeah. We should we should mention because Ben Severn, who's a good young Adelaide boy, South Australian boy, sailmaker. It's become, probably one of the big sailmakers in the windsurfing world. So, we all know Ben. So he's done great things. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But anyway, we'll reach out to BD, Bjorn Dunkerbeck.
All right, well, let's do that. I tried. You've obviously got more nous than I have with that world, but let's just cap on it. So I'm reading your notes here. It's 55.97 knots.
That's it.
103.67 kilometres an hour.
Yep.
Average of 101 kilometres an hour over 100. So there's a 500 metre record which he's got which hasn't been done yet. But we're talking about over 100 kilometres an hour on a windsurfer now, and that is just. Oh, my God. And you're right.
By a 52-year-old bloke.
Oh, gives us all hope, doesn't it?
Exactly right.
Speak for yourself, you blokes.
Oh, dear.
I grew up barefoot water skiing. I know how hard the water is at 70 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
100 kilometres an hour, it is brutal.
I love it. All right. Moving on, shall we? Moving on?
We shall.
Oh, what we got next?
It's hot time with Bites.
Oh, there we go. Got him,
yes, got him.
Got
Piss
him.
off, you're out.
Piss off, you're out. Gone, yes.
I want a reggae version next, or a ska version.
Just stand by for a sec, guys.
What?
Hang on.
This is... All right, you ready, boys?
Yeah, we've been waiting.
When a fire starts to burn, and it's getting hot in here. The heat is on.
Just a little bit of something to come, all right? So I've got a little toy as well.
A little toy?
Don't delete it. Right.
No.
Okay.
So,
now
right, gents.
you're all got to get your page back, so you're all ready to go. He's trying to work out how to get out. He shared his screen. He doesn't know how to get out. Come on.
Easy, fellas, easy.
All right.
Very
Okay.
good. All right. Hot time with Vice.
What we're up to? Hot time with Vice. Rightio. All right, here's one for you again. I'm just going to wear my undies for the next recording. I won't have to rip anything off. Rightio. TJV. We've seen all the front runners coming to town. A quick one for you. The winner of the 50s, the 60s, and the old teams, what did they all have in common?
French.
Oh, yeah, the top 12 in each class.
Yeah, they weren't attacked by a French fishing vessel, or did they all arrive on the same day?
No, negative.
No,
negative.
They didn't.
BP, you got anything?
No.
All done by our good mate, Mr. Guillaume Verdier.
I should have jumped on that one.
There would have been a link there with him, of course.
Yeah. So, but mate, I said it last week, and I think I am going to confirm greatest offshore race.
Yep.
The format. It's fantastic.
The format, where you go, what you do, the boats, the timings, everything. Yep. Fantastic. So, and we're just seeing them all. Obviously, got the front runners have come home, and we're seeing all the others coming in now. So, good result for all. A safe race, beautiful race, just going fast all the way, just inspiring yachties around the globe.
Yep. So obviously the linked out Apivia 1-2 in the old the Imoccas is that's a big one, nice and close to home. Sherelle doing well there in third place. The Ocean 50s, which we have a lot of love for. Primonial. We should get someone off that fleet in for a bit of a chat, is what we think.
A bit more about the Ocean 50s.
We do have Sam there.
Coesio.
Sam came in for third.
Yeah, so. Yeah. We should definitely get one of those guys in. Obviously, the old teams are just the coolest looking things on the water. We know those guys pretty well. We should get one of them as well. But
Franck or Charles?
I was going to say Charles. They'll pretend they can't speak English.
Let's get Franck.
Charles will be good.
Charles is great.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you?
Oh,
yeah, gonna.
He's always at sea, mate.
Okay, good. Yeah, got to get him when he's not at sea.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess we're still waiting for the first class 40 to get home, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, as we record this.
As we record this, but some of the listeners, as they listen to it, they would have seen the results. So,
actually, just a little bit of a cross plug while it just popped into my head. You know, the Outre-mers and all those boats are doing their rally around the world. They have a broadcast where they get people to come in and talk about things. They've got this week Knut Frostad talking about all things electronic. I think on there, if you're interested, the great Knut.
Yep. That'll be a good one to get by. And if you have not walked away after that Zoom meeting or that cross without buying anything from Navionics,
how does it work? Because they got bought out. Navionics there's a huge corporate.
Yeah, big corporate. It's lost me for now what it was called, but they own pretty much everything in marine electronics apart from Garmin. So that fight will continue between Navionics and Garmin for days to come. But what it does do is just produce much better bloody instruments for everyone. Not to mention all the other ones that it boosts up, like the Salmons and all those sorts of ones as well.
It's Brunswick Corporation.
Group. Yeah, correct.
So they own Mastervolt, Mercury Engines, Boston Whalers.
When you jumped off and ran away, then I was quite scared. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Normally we run off and get a beer, but I had to go and get a reference document. Anyway.
All right.
Okay, go on, keep going.
Number 2.
Yeah.
This is probably quite in your wheelhouse, Jordan. Right. Given the recent announcement of the Omna, what's it called?
It's
strain of COVID.
Omicron.
Is Sale GP going to happen? The current restrictions for anyone flying in, Sydney has just announced 2 cases of it. The current restrictions from anyone overseas is to isolate for 3 days until further health notice. Is that now going to be extended? Is it going to, I
reckon they'll roll. I don't know. The New South Wales, the new leader in New South Wales is, he's less of a man of science and
more of a man of business.
No, more of a godbother, I think, is the actual term. Look, there's a real chance that they'll roll back into 2-week quarantines. Is the risk. If I was Sale GP, I'd get every person here now.
Right now.
Right now. I wouldn't waste time. I'd just get them here now.
There's a fair chance, given that Aussies make up half the bloody Oddies anyway.
They're already here.
They're already here.
There's a couple up in the lake sailing sabots around. Hey?
Yeah.
Did you see my comment? What did Kyle break?
Yeah. You know, but we are trendsetters here at Bar Karate. You know, they're just following my lead as usual.
I'd be interested to see if they do shut it down. What Russell Coots' response? he's not been shy lately.
It's just anyway. We move on. Well, next one.
Yeah, that was quick.
Rightio. Next on the list, nominations have just been opened up for the World Yachtsman of the Year.
Oh,
Yachts Person of the Year. What's going through your mind here, gents?
How do they pick? It's got to be someone from the Olympics. Like, there's nothing happened. Oh, no, I guess the offshore stuff's been happening. I know Slinger's got nominated.
Vondai stuff.
Yeah.
World. I mean, what's the criteria is so broad.
We can see a lot of sailors crossing many different boats at the moment. For example, we got Pete and Blair.
Yeah.
America's Cup, Pete and Blair, Olympics.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to be a bit of a trend? Is it going to be different?
What about Slingers? He's dominated the Sail GP, dominated the Moth Worlds, jumped into the TP52s. Those boats suddenly started winning.
Yeah.
And he has been nominated.
We know these guys and girls, or whoever we're talking about, are at the top of the game. We know that they're all got an element of being the world's best. What about someone who, like, here we go, I'm going to throw this one, left field. I've always been a fan of her.
Yeah.
Pip Hare in the last Vendée gave us the most up and close look at the race than anyone has ever done.
Yeah.
Something like that. You know, how cool was that?
That's not the criteria. Maybe she could get for coverage.
Maybe, but I'm just thinking about looking at it from how much much energy that they put in. You know.
Yeah, but I think the World Sailor of the Year is
result driven, is it?
Yep. It definitely, like if the gist of it is who is the number one person.
The pinnacle award a sailor can receive.
Jordan, didn't you win the catamaran thing last weekend?
Outstanding achievements in the world of sailing. So you might be right there. It's a little bit broad.
It is broad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I just think we all know we got these names at the top of our, the top of our sport all the time. There's no question, and they deserve it. There's no question they deserve it. But there are so many people doing good things. How do you choose?
Oh yeah, how do you choose? Yeah, I agree.
I'm just looking at the list.
Maybe we should have our own Bar Karate Awards. How's
this? Just for a quick little 10 second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Blake, Russell Coots, Joachim Schumann,
Ben
Ainsley, Robert Scheidt, Russell Coots again, Robert Scheidt again, Mike Sanderson, Ed Baird, Torben Grail, Tom Slingsby. Jesus. Ben Ainsley again. Bloody hell. Pete and Blair, Santiago. It's
the big list.
It's a big list. There's some bloody top blokes. So.
A lot of Olympic ones in the Olympic years, they're getting picked.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
I have no question and no worries with it being an absolute elite performer. And as you say, when you look at the criteria, it does actually it is quite broad. And I think I think all of these awards have got to look beyond, and have a look at these people that are putting the hard yards as well.
Okay.
I'm going to put my hat in the line here. I'm going to say Matt Belcher.
Nice one.
He won it in 2014.
Yep.
But ever since then, he was dominating up until then. And ever since then, he's dominated as well.
Well,
So
him and
It's
Will.
ongoing. It's been ongoing, yeah.
Him and Will.
Him and
It's
Will.
probably time that
Gets
we do
recognised.
see Matt and Will take it.
Yeah, I like that one.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see. What about Blair and Pete for winning the America's Cup again?
Absolutely.
Again?
Absolutely. Yep.
And
They
all
won
the
it
team?
They won it in 2015.
Yeah.
So are they going to do it again? In 2015, it was all based on Olympics. Now America's Cup and Olympics.
Whack it in there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
No,
All right.
good for yachting. All right, last one, boys. Is the VX1 possibly the best off the beach sailing boat in the world?
Nick Bice. So here's the crux. We've been Bicey's boat, his Etchel, is trashed. Probably a write-off. And he sees his chance to escape into the VX1 class. I think, and it's happened. It's official. The Barcarati Delta variant is about to be launched. Is that what's going?
Well, one, Jordan. That name you came up, the Delta variant, that will be the name of the vessel. 'Cause, everyone will catch it at some point.
Well, I think you should upgrade it and go for Omicron.
Two. The listeners didn't hear this, but post Barcarati last week, BP and I had a solid discussion about Etchels and where the Etchels are going. And I said, fuck this, I'm out. And
I think I said the same.
purchased that night.
Basically, yeah.
Well, I'm glad it led to something, Bicey.
No. So, truth is, obviously, as a show, we've been fans of the VXs for some time, since your introduction, Jordan.
Yep.
We love the class. We love the interaction we have with everyone within the class.
Absolutely.
And it's only fitting that the Nationals, which are being held at the Squadron in 2023, sponsored by Barcarati Sailors Lager, is we need to get more boats in SA. So there was an opportunity. It's not top of the line boat, but an opportunity to get a boat down here to SA, to start sailing it, to get to know the boats and all those sorts of things, with the idea that we will do an upgrade, myself and...
I thought you were going to say with an idea we'll flip it and speed shop it.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
Not
Highly
yet?
illegal. We might do something with the garbage straight, though. But to upgrade prior to the Nationals, which then leaves another boat here in SA. So
Beautiful.
that is the plan. In the meantime, just need to earn some money to pay for all this.
Yeah.
But looking forward to it. Spoken to the owners of this particular boat. There's quite a few of them in a little syndicate. There's 5 of them, as a matter of fact. Buggered if I know how they all sailed at the same time.
No.
But in saying that, they've been super, like I said at the start of the show, what clenched it was a couple of Barcarati T-shirts.
I love that. I love it.
Came through. So get it here in a couple of weeks.
Excellent.
And we will actually be doing the coverage. We will be covering their nationals coming up. They just had the Queensland States this weekend, so congratulations. The Queensland Academy of Sport here actually own a vessel for their training, and they joined into the States.
Dominated.
Yeah, they like a good consistent scoreline, and 1 is a pretty good scoreline in front of Brett Whitbread and Michael James, both who bring the boat, the two blokes who bring the boat into the country. So Pipeline Drillers is into second. Good work on a very, very windy weekend. And the Beast
Was their scorecard consistent as well?
2, 3, 2, 4, 6, 2, 2, 2. Pretty good. and then 4, 15, 21, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. So, yeah, it's a pretty good solid fleet. I think there was 18 boats or something like that. No, 19, 20 boats. There you go. 20 boats.
Remind us again of the dates for the Nationals.
Oh, now you're asking hard questions.
It's the weekend before Australia Day, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Do you want me to check? I can't remember.
No, you were meant to answer that and say, yeah, it's the weekend before Australia Day. I was meant to say, cool, I'll see you there.
But that didn't go to plan because not often things do.
I love it. Anyway, so this is interesting. Like, it was pretty funny, though, the whole thing, because there was that boat got advertised on Facebook. And then next thing you know, there was all this banter. Barkarati, it's your chance to buy a boat.
Shout out to Dave.
I did see that.
Obviously, he's clearly in it because he knows we're going to buy a set of sails from him.
And then, within 2 days, boat was gone. It's done. Deal. So,
well, do you know what's really cool?
I've got a little confession.
What's that?
The deal was done on the golf course.
Oh no. Ninth hole.
You're just a toy magnet, aren't you?
Six back in. Okay.
You know why?
Listen,
you know why
I'm pretty stoked.
You know why Bicey has so many different toys, BP?
Because he plays a lot of golf?
No. Because he has them all hanging off his bloody Land Rover, and wherever it breaks down, he has to have everything there for wherever he breaks down, he pulls out whatever's relevant to the location he's broken down in. That's my theory.
Well, I've got to say though, Bicey, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you've done because obviously we wank on about a lot of things here on Barkarati and try and produce some form of results. There's two things we have achieved, and that is one, Barkarati Lager, and next thing's the VX. So out of all the stuff we've talked about, you've achieved exactly 2.
Yeah, how about you blokes start catching up, eh?
Yeah.
And by the way, and this isn't one for the listeners because they don't see exactly what I've just sent on our group chat. But talking of things hanging off of a Land Rover.
Oh, that's your influencer. Oh,
photo shoot that I did this morning.
Oh dear, oh dear. Dear. Bossy.
Rightio.
All right. One last little thing, I guess, BP.
What's that?
Alan. Just a quick plug for Alan.
Alan who?
Alan.
I've lost the run sheet.
Alan
Because
Rura.
I'm looking at Bicey's picture.
Congratulations, Alan Rura. We're going
Alan Rowra.
Yeah.
Elaine.
Elaine.
Sorry.
My apologies, Elaine.
You got to stop distracting me, Bicey, like that. Like that's just nuts.
Anyway, so he's bought Alex Thompson's Hugo Boss. So
he has.
Excited for him. We'll probably get him on the show.
I'm going to push that. So basically, here's another magnificent story, and we won't go too much into detail now about it. But this guy is a very young fella from Switzerland, and I think I met him. He must have been just turned 18, taking on the mini 650 fleet, and he's just pushed since then. So that would have been 2012. I met him, and here we are in 2021, and he's bought the Hugo Boss. So,
wow.
I mean, an amazing story. I mean, he had an old boat, an old proto. In 2012, he came down and did the what we called then the Mini Air, which was the race based out of Valencia. We sailed around Palma and back and blah, blah, blah. But he was just full of smiles, great guy, and congratulations to him because this is by far his biggest push. So let's get behind that one.
Cool.
Well done,
Alan Rowra.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, you shook me there with Alan.
Sorry, Elaine. No worries. I think that's us. Enough.
That's us, boys.
Enough banter. Enough chat. Yep. Good show.
Right on. Let's go.
Where are you up to? You got your kit together?
Yeah. I'm going to come in a little bit later than last time.
No, really early.
Really early this time. Okay. Well, you generally control it. So go on.
The crest come smile on me. And I look behind, don't look behind.
Needs more cowbell.
Don't challenge me. I can facilitate that. Big cowbell.
Nothing in front but a big